How you guys doing? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jainer, and today we're gonna talk about the psychology of radicalization. So first, let's talk about what it means to be a radical. So radicals are a tiny fraction of the whole population of the U.S. and the term suggests that radicals are, let's say, 1 in 1,000 or 10 in 10,000, because they are outliers. It's a small fraction of people, and a radical. It's very unlikely, that a person becomes radical. You can be an outlier, if you have amazing talent at a sport, or let's say you're above average in your class. It's just a small fraction of people. So radicals are not the majority. So that's one good way to look at it. So the reason I decided to make this video is because every time I see the news or read a newspaper or article, and somebody does a violent act or a terrorist act, I'm always thinking to myself, and I hear other people saying, what could have gotten inside the mind of the individual to do such a horrible tragedy? Could the person have been born that way, or did somebody force him to do it, or what was the motive, what was the reason behind it? So those are questions that I think are extremely they're of huge importance to the psychology world. So I immediately became very intrigued by finding out the answer for it. So we're gonna talk about the three pillars of radicalization, or basically the three things that help the individual become extremely radical, and at the end, maybe do a horrible tragedy. So the first pillar of radicalization is the need for significance. So we all know that there's a universal need for significance. We all wanna be noticed. We all wanna be accepted by the community. We all wanna contribute and be recognized by our community. We all have a quest for finding a meaning in life, or finding a purpose, and that purpose could be found when we have kids. When let's say, for the people that go to church and they get to help out their community that way. For the people that go to school, the people that read books and they find the great truths to the world. So basically, there are a lot of ways in which we can find meaning in this world. So, but unfortunately, there's people that have a hard time finding meaning, or life doesn't turn out the way they planned life to turn out for them, and they start to think that the world is a meaningless place to live. So these people, they can't find meaning in life. There's no significance for them in life. So they become isolated. They feel like they are rejected by society. They feel like they don't belong. Maybe they don't keep contact with their family. They're extremely lonely. They don't even know their neighbors. They don't belong to any group. But let's keep in mind that we can't just belong to a group just to belong in a group. We should belong to a group that has good intentions, that wants to do good work for their community, and a positive group. Because just because you belong to a group doesn't mean that you belong to the correct group or the best group for you. So that is one thing to keep in mind. So basically, radicals they're searching for a need of significance, and unfortunately, they join groups that have a bad agenda. They want to cause harm to the world, but when they join these groups elevate their self-esteem. They accept them in their home, and it makes sense, because if the individual feels like he's rejected by society, and all of a sudden he finds this group that is willing to bring them in and treat them nicely, of course the person becomes indoctrinated. So, and then the other thing that we see among radicals is that they all perform a violent act based on a narrative. So the narrative is what justifies whatever they do, the shooting they do, or the horrible tragedy they carry out. So a narrative could be somebody of some other group treated me horribly or poorly. Therefore, everybody else who doesn't think like me or doesn't belong to my group is a horrible person, and that person is out there to make my life harder than it is. Therefore, I should kill them. And that's a narrative. It's almost like the narrative gives you the mindset of us versus them thinking. So what a horrible way to view the world, that to, let's say, have the mindset where your country is the best country, therefore every other country is racist, or every other country is a bad country, just because they don't know the truths I know, and they don't have the same agenda that I do. But in reality, us individuals, we should strive to make the world a better place, not just our country. We should think globally. The fact is that if we live in a country, any country that you can think of, and every other country is doing well or getting better, it all affects, on a global scale, we are all affected by when other countries are doing good, especially if there's open markets and we exchange our products with other countries. So and then another thing that we see with radicals is they all belong to a network. So the network, unfortunately, it's a horrible place, to carry out bad ideas and a bad agenda. The network keeps feeding into their brains that whatever they're thinking is a good common goal for the group, and if they perform a violent act against their community, that they're gonna be looked at as heroes, and they're gonna become great. And if they die, there's better things waiting for them up there in heaven. And the network does not allow them to see the world from a different perspective. The network has an agenda, and that agenda cannot be violated. And they're inside a group that all think the same way, and nobody is coming in with different ideas. They all wanna. That's the main reason why you join a group in the first place, especially a bad group. One person cannot have a huge impact, but 20 people, 40 people, the bigger the group, the bigger the impact. So everybody's working towards the same goal, and everybody is part of carrying out a big let's say movement, and contributing to a bigger cause, but unfortunately it's a bad cause, bad intentions, and ultimately doing great tragedies. So But yeah, so the best thing is to, for people thinking this way, is to not belong to any group, and instead learn from as many different groups as possible, because just because you find an idea that is attracting to you, and it makes a lot of sense to you, doesn't mean that that idea is the only idea out there in the world. Another person from, let's say, a university or church or whatever you're going to, might have another idea that might feed your mind with other positive knowledge, and you cannot stay within a group and think that you already unlock the truth to the world. The reality is that we can learn every day, and we can learn from anybody, regardless of their background. So yeah, the network, unfortunately, is the perfect ground for the us versus them way of thinking, and unfortunately, it makes people, it makes people more radicals than where they were. So that's all I have to share with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Leave a comment below and let me know what else would you guys like me to talk about. Thanks.